Welcome to the Doubles Only Tennis Podcast, where you learn the best doubles lessons to improve your game and win more matches while getting to know some of the top doubles players and coaches on the planet. I'm your host, Will Bochek. This podcast, my weekly strategy newsletter, and my website all focus on the goal of better understanding the sport of doubles and helping players like you improve faster through actionable advice that you can use in your very next match. My goal is to provide the best doubles resources in the world. And to do that, I study, analyze, and work with players at every level of the game, all the way up to the ATP and WTA tours. If you enjoy this podcast, consider becoming a Tennis Tribe member to go even deeper and take your doubles IQ to the next level. Members get access to premium podcast episodes, weekly video lessons, monthly strategy webinars, courses, ebooks, gear discounts, and a lot more. Go to thetennistribe.com/memberships to see all the benefits and sign up. Here's today's episode. TennisCon 9 starts on October 27th, and if you are a club-level tennis player, singles or doubles, you have to sign up for TennisCon. I'm going to include a link for you to sign up. It's totally free. The link will be in the show notes of this podcast. And just like the last 3 years, I do have a presentation at TennisCon. And just like the last 3 years, I am having Peter Freeman on the podcast. And that is what you're about to listen to. So in this episode, Peter and I talk about TennisCon. He talks about how it got started, his coaching experience. We also discussed what's different this year, and I really love the format this year. It's a little bit different. There's fewer coaches, there's shorter presentations, and it really encourages you to digest all the information in a new way. He previews 3 of his favorite lessons so far from TennisCon, and then we dive into some things that I learned from Peter earlier this year when we hosted our doubles camp together. A lot of this is going to be must-hear information if you've been struggling with your serve toss, if you can't decide if you should switch to a Continental grip on your serve or stick with a frying pan grip. We talk about return tips. We talk about what to do with your overheads. And then at the end, we talk about pickleball and why pickleball has a lot of different things that we can learn from as tennis players and tennis coaches. So this is a really fun conversation. Again, if you're a club level player, you need to sign up for TennisCon so that you can learn from all of these awesome coaches. It's totally free. And then you also should listen to this podcast with Peter and digest a lot of the tips that he delivers on the serve, on the return, and on the overhead. So without further delay, enjoy my conversation with Peter Freeman. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Today we have Peter Freeman on from TennisCon. Peter, welcome.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here, Will.
It's fun to have you back. I'm excited for TennisCon again this year. For people who don't know what TennisCon is and don't know who you are, tell us who you are and how TennisCon got started and where it is today.
Okay, well, first me, I've been teaching pretty much since I've been a teenager, and now I'm over 50, so that's like too long. And I've been doing online now for well over a decade, and then almost a decade ago, I came up with a concept to do, because I know a lot of people in the online space, and so came with the idea for a tennis conference, and it's called TennisCon, and we bring the best instructors on the planet together to cover all the important aspects of making club players better at tennis. And this year, TennisCon 9 is actually, because another thing I love to do online is challenges. I do a lot of different challenges. So I thought this year, let's make it a challenge. And because earlier this year, I found a software that hooks into a membership. That's really awesome. I think people would agree that the information that people consume online is generally pretty good if you have coaches that you trust, but getting through it, sometimes people forget because they are so busy with their life. But so this software enables people to play a game while they're going through a course. So I will pop up, I call them Easter eggs. So let's say with your video, I might pop up around minute 4, and I'll say, it's time to score your point. And then they click on inside the video. It takes them to a web page. They score the point. There's a leaderboard. And then this year, the top 3 winners, you know how they say, you're going to really give away a 4th place medal? Isn't that kind of like not good? Well, our first prize has 8 winners, and that 8 people are going to get to train with me and Maribon here in Atlanta for free, who finished on top of the leaderboard. Second place is a Pongbot ball machine, which I like to joke is really one of these new intelligent ball machines. It's smarter than I am, and that's a $2,000 value. And then third prize is a fast track training aid, which recycles balls to you and you hit it into a net. So you can literally hit 1,200 balls in an hour. So really get all your strokes grooved and perfected, as well as we're going to have daily prizes. So this is a really exciting TennisCon. This is definitely the most exciting, I say it every year, but this is the most exciting TennisCon this year because we just really threw a lot of new wrinkles into it.
That's awesome. Well, you keep stepping it up. And for people listening, I'm going to link below in the show notes so y'all can sign up. So you might pause it now and just go sign up, because without all of those prizes, I think it's one of the best values you can get as a club level player in tennis, because ordinarily, and I've talked about this on my newsletter and with people on the podcast in the past, ordinarily to get access to these coaches, you have to pay at least hundreds of dollars an hour. Sometimes it's $1,000 an hour for some of these coaches, and you get access to them for free. So each presentation you get for 48 hours, and then there's a way you can upgrade to still for not a big price. It's like around $100 to upgrade for lifetime access to these. Which is
actually,
really,
when you first get in,
really
you can
amazing.
get it for $67 when you first get in.
Yeah. And I don't want to sit here and like try to sell people the whole podcast, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it. Like it is so important for people to learn from different sources. And I really want people who listen to my podcast as their main source of doubles knowledge to sign up for TennisCon and learn from other coaches and challenge me. If you hear something that's different than what I say, tell me. And I'm trying to learn too, because I watch a lot of these presentations as well, because nobody has all the answers. So it's good to kind of pull sources, pull knowledge from different people and different coaches, and then kind of decide what works best for you. So I think it's so cool that you're able to do this, and it's fun to be a part of for me as well. And then the other thing I'll say is the challenges are so cool, because that is the only way people can improve. Like if you don't challenge yourself, you're not going to get better on the tennis court, because you have to be willing to be uncomfortable and you have to be willing to kind of push your limits to improve. And so many people are just afraid and stay in their comfort zone, and they never get any better. So these challenges, I'm really excited to see what everybody has in store for these.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure how many presentations you've gotten so far. I know we've already recorded mine. Do you have 3 favorite challenges so far? And obviously you don't have to give the details because people will see that in TennisCon, but do you have 3 favorites so far?
Yeah, well, first of all, we have more than over half done, and they're almost all edited. And we're for people who have already signed up for the lifetime pass, I'm dropping it in kind of gradually so people can really consume it. That's the whole idea this year: is less instructors, the videos aren't as long, so people can really get through the material. Now, as far as the thing that I love about TennisCon is every year it recharges my coaching batteries as well. And that's what I really like about it, is that I'm always hearing different things that I'm like, oh, I wish I would have said it that way, or now I'm going to start saying it that way.
Yeah.
So a couple of my favorite videos so far is one of the longer videos is with Brady Height. He made a really thorough serve video this year, and he walks you through on if you're making a mistake, these are the reasons why you're making the mistake. So he basically points out all the mistakes you can make, long and in the net and wide. And he has his buddy Mark there with him walking through that. But probably my favorite thing was because when you see Brady, he's a massive guy and his serve is flawless. And he talked about how when he was a kid, that there was one drill he did that easily added 15 to 20 miles an hour to his serve. And so my ears perked up. I'm like, well, you got an awesome serve, and this is what you're saying. So he did a drill where he basically was and you have to do your full motion. You can't cheat with like a short toss. You have to, and the goal is you're serving at the baseline, and you're trying to see how close you can get the ball to bounce near you and spike it. Basically, the closer the better. And he said in the beginning when he was trying it, because he was, we always look at the finished product, we think, well, you were always like that, right? But no, he said in the beginning when he was a kid, for weeks he couldn't get it where it would not hit the net. And then he's like, then I got to go inside the box, and then in the demo he's pretty much bouncing it like right in front of him in no man's land. And so that was one of my favorite ones. Then also Greg Lesur with OTI. I think my favorite thing about it is this visually, it's so good, where he's talking about the zones of the court, and he's talking about specifically the attack ball, right? So it's just before, he's like, here you definitely have your approach shot. I know a lot of people are listening to this, but basically in that no man's land area, when you can step in there, that's a ball you can attack, not necessarily run through and go to the net. And so he was talking about how to really identify that. And he was talking about the height of the ball. And what was really cool is as it was coming over the net, he had this green dot on it. So the ball is tracked by a green dot. So you can really see it going lower. And you can see Greg really reacting to it and already moving in and recognizing that. And this was a kind of a good visual, like, oh, that's how quick an advanced player reacts to that and does something about it versus, a club player who might not realize that's happening. And so I really, really enjoyed that as well. But, there's just so many good videos this year. Marissa Johnson, I really love the way she did a really good on-court workout, and I love the way that she does her workouts too. I think she does them maybe better than anybody because she does it very much like a fitness channel, to where they've got the cool music and then the timing. So it really is something you can do with her, where lots of the videos that you watch, you're like, okay, that's a tip. That's a great tip. That's a great drill. I'm watching it. Now I'll go out on the court and do it. So there's a little disconnect, if you will, on that. But Marissa's workout videos are great because you can literally do them with her. So I thought her video was really awesome as well.
That's really cool. Okay, so I'm going to check out all of those. I mean, so there's 9 days. And what day does TennisCon start?
It's going to start October 27th is when I'm going to go, okay, this is day 1, day 2. But people who do sign up now can get a head start on the leaderboard right now. That's what I love about this, is there's so many people tied for first place, which means they're watching every single video and they are getting every single point. So like Brady's was the first, that's one of the longest ones. His was 32 minutes. That's a long video at TennisCon this year. But yet still almost everybody's watched that video and gotten their 4 points from that. My video has 3 points. Like, so many people right now are on top of the leaderboard with max points. Oh, wow. So that's cool. I'm dripping them in there right now. In fact, tomorrow or the next day, I'll be releasing Ryan Reedy from 2 Minute Tennis. He's got a second serve, kick serve video.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I love that concept because I remember I went to this online marketing conference a long time ago, and somebody said like 97% of people who sign up for an online course like don't get halfway through. It's like something insane like that. So it's like, okay, how can we change that? Because we're not here to just sell courses. We're here to actually make people better at tennis, right? And this is a great concept to be able to do that. So there's 9 days. I was scrolling through the sign up page earlier, and I mean, you've got the forehand, the backhand, the forehand volley, the backhand volley, the approach shot, the doubles tactics and strategy, which is the day I'll be presenting, or people can watch my presentation, which was only 12 or 13 minutes, I think, by the way. Singles IQ, pro training secrets. So a bunch of content there that people are going to be able to check out. So again, I'll link to that in the show notes. I want to move on to a couple other things, Peter, that we talked about in Atlanta earlier this summer when we did a doubles camp together. And this is something I've been wanting to chat with you on the podcast for a while about. I've mentioned it briefly uh, because I had so many good takeaways from that time in Atlanta.
Oh, good.
But I wanted to start with the continental grip on the serve. Do you need a continental grip on your serve?
It all depends what you want. And so the big thing is if you are somebody playing 3-0 and 3-5 tennis, let's say you're over 50, let's say you're 60 watching this, and you're like, I just taught a guy this past weekend, and he says, I don't want to be a 4-0 player. I like playing 3-5 tennis. I'm 67 years old, and I'm not looking to be a 4-0 player. I just want to be the best. He said, this is a great line. He's like, I want to be the best 3.5 player I can be. That's what I want. And he's loves his tennis, is super dedicated. It's his number one passion, probably outside of his family. So if you're somebody who's playing 3-5 or lower, I do not think you need a continental grip on your serve. You definitely need a continental grip once you get to the net. So it's not like, oh, I don't need to learn the continental grip and feel comfortable with it in my hand. You absolutely 100% need a continental grip when you start getting in mid-court approach shots and what I call pole position at the net for your volleys. But when you are serving, if you have the frying pan grip that everybody makes fun of, and you just push the ball with your shoulder in play, and you can get it to be medium pace and have good placement and make a high percentage of first serves, there's very few players you're going to play against that are going to make you eat your lunch consistently. You might every now and then get somebody to whack a shot by you or your partner, and you feel like, oh, my serve's so vulnerable. But in general, I think people overreact to that. It's not happening as often as you think. And even when you get a continental grip and a spin serve, guess what? Every now and then, just like a pitcher throws up a home run, it's gonna happen no matter how good your serve is. Now, when you're especially, I would say for male players, you're like, no, I'm trying to be like a high 4-0, and I even feel like I can get to a 4-5. Well, now you have to accept the responsibility of probably learning how to get that continental grip so that you can then have good spin serves and up the pace a little bit, and especially improve your second serve quite a lot when you get comfortable with a continental grip.
How long would it take? Let's say you take a 3-5 player and he maybe he started tennis a few years ago, or maybe he played in high school and is picking it back up, but he doesn't have a continental grip. How much time in terms of like a weekly basis, and then also how long will it take for this 3-5 player to develop that continental grip and get let's call it a 4-5 serve?
That's a great question. Well, my answer to that though is there are some people like, look, I'll die trying, right? Like if they're that hungry, I'm a big believer in Rick Macy's line, which is persistence is undefeated, and you don't. I think that's one of the things that is the biggest killer. It's like, well, how long is this going to take me? And so they put the stopwatch on right away, and they're like, oh no, this isn't happening. So it's a process that you want to enjoy and not rush. And just
Mm.
know that you're building a very valuable product behind the scenes. It's not ready to bring out to market yet. I love the way Jorge Capassan talks about what in your game is ready to deploy. And don't freak out about it. You still have your other serve that you can use in match play. You're building something amazing behind the scenes. And if you're talking about just getting a continental grip, just getting spin, you can start to do that within the first week, maybe within the first lesson, maybe right after watching my slice serve video, which I give people a no-fail slice serve drill, which I put the tennis ball in the racket butt, and it really gives you a great racket drop. And if you follow that step by step, you're probably going to notice that, oh, I have spin and I'm holding the continental grip. The problem with that, though, is the illusion that now you've got it, because especially a coach will get excited because you're like, yes, you're doing something you've never done before. So they'll say things like, that's it. You've got it. There's a difference, though, between that and you have it, right? So I like this one saying that somebody actually sent me lately, which is, don't do it till you get it right. Do it till you can't get it wrong. And that's what it takes like to kind of be like a 4-5 serve is people are playing 4-5 tennis on their second serve. If they're a solid 4-5 tennis player, they are swinging pretty much at max racket head speed for their second serve. The ball is just going slower and higher over the net and has more spin because of the way they're impacting the ball, the amount of spin that they're putting on the ball. But they're swinging just as fast. That takes a long time to develop. That could take 1 to 3 years realistically.
Okay. And then what about if I'm a 3-5 or even 4-0 player? I've even seen typically it'll be on the ladies' side, but I've even seen 4-5 players who still use that kind of forehand pancake grip on their serve, and they can be pretty effective, especially when they can get it to stay low over the net and it has kind of that backspin and it skids through the service box. I have trouble returning that personally.
You're bringing back a bad flashback to me.
Yeah, when somebody can hit that to my backhand return, I'm in trouble. I have to lob it. I cannot hit out on that one. What are some tips for that? If the person says, "Okay, I'm not interested in spending the time it takes to develop this continental grip," maybe they're not. I remember in Atlanta we talked about being able to throw a tennis ball and that having to do with if you should move to a continental grip or not. But what are some tips for to develop or to improve your kind of pancake serve?
Yeah, that's a great point. Is what I said in Atlanta was there's two basic types of serves in club tennis, and that is a push serve where it's coming a lot from your shoulder and you're kind of pushing at the ball. Think about giving somebody a high five versus throwing a long bomb in football, okay, where now the shoulder's nice and loose and you're throwing it. And so if people are more apt to having a pushing motion with the way they throw, then they probably, and they're just way off on throwing, they should probably then think about sticking with that grip where they're having to hammer it in there. And then the tips that are actually going to kill you help you when you have a continental grip. You don't want to hit the ball way at the top, because if you hit the ball way at the top, you're going to have very little control over it. The ball is going to fly out. It's going to hard to be consistent. So what you're looking to do is get a medium pace to slightly fast serve. If you can master that, you're going to be in good shape. And so what you want to think about is actually lower tosses, lower contact points, and really getting the feeling of your hip and your shoulder and your hand connecting. Think about the last time you gave somebody a high five and they said, "Whoa, like easy, cowboy or cowgirl." Then you've just hit a hard serve with that frying pan grip. And I share the same aggravation that you shared when I was playing league tennis. You know, again, when you played college tennis, junior tennis, men's league tennis, most second serves are coming with spin, and you get used to it sitting up and you can't wait for that. Then every now and then you'll play a mixed doubles match and you play a woman who like has just sick ground strokes, okay volleys, and then she's got like this little flat thing that she zings in that goes like 2 inches off the ground, and you can't do anything with it. And you have to kind of put your ego aside and just like maybe chip it back or do whatever, because you're thinking, well, this serve, it's not a real serve, but it's one of the hardest serves you're going to return. So you can totally be very frustrating to your opponents when you're good at that.
So I want to highlight something you just said there, because I guarantee there's people listening to this who have that push serve, and then they have a coach who tells them, get your ball toss higher, get your ball toss higher. So you're saying the opposite. If you have your frying pan grip and your push serve, you do not want to make contact really high. You want it actually lower, maybe just above the height of your head, something like that.
Think about hammering a nail into a wall comfortably, right? So it's a little bit above your head and you can go do that. And your elbow is actually still a little bent, right? When we're serving advance, we don't want any elbow bend at contact. And I first saw this and was kind of like in a moment where I'm like, whoa, okay. Was this guy calls himself the tennis doctor. You can maybe find this video on YouTube still. And he worked at IMG academies. And many of his videos working with advanced players and teaching them how to hit kicks and slices and all that kind of good stuff. And then one time he was working with like a 3-5 lady, and he's like, you see, you don't want to hit the ball at the top, you want to hit it here. And he was like whacking the fence, and it was just like he was whacking a hammer and nail. It's like, here's where the power is for your technique. You don't want to hit it up here, you'll have no control, it's not going to go in that much. And when he said that, I was like, he's 100% right. That makes total sense. We've all been teaching this wrong to this group of people for so long. And so ever since that video, I've been pointing that out to people because I know they're hearing all the other stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I really love that. All right, so I want to move on to two more things that I learned from you in Atlanta. Number one is the chip return. We spent a lot of time teaching the chip return, which is really effective in doubles. It's something that I use as a tactic myself. I tell people to use it. I've never really taught it because I don't teach a lot of technique, but that's something you're really good at, and you had a really good progression for it. So, what are some tips to developing a good chip return, and maybe define it for what people or for people who may not know what we're talking about?
Well, I think the first thing to get incentive to work on something is to really understand the benefit of it. A chip return is basically another word for slice, under spin. And why do you want to have it in doubles? Well, first of all, you're going to get so many great looks at second serves. And being able to do this now, you can have the ball stay low. The Bryan brothers made a course with another person who's in TennisCon, Will Hamilton. And they basically said, look, the trick to doubles is you get them to hit up so you can hit down. And often the more people dive down the YouTube rabbit hole, they're getting obsessed with watching video after video of like Federer's forehand, Alcaraz's forehand. They think, well, the right way to hit a forehand is you got to come over the ball. But you're not going to be able to overwhelm your opponent for 2 out of 3 sets with power approaching. And you're going to make a lot of unforced errors. Then you're also going to slow down and kind of choke some returns to where you're coming in, but you're really coming in behind a meatball, because if you just hit a solid ball, it's the favorite shot that everybody loves to play against. It's going to bounce right into the opponent's strike zone, right at their waist. And if you give them a little bit of pace to work with, now they're using the pace against you. To where if you can chip, you can literally have that thing like skid like it's on ice. And now they have to dip down and hit up. So now you're doing basically what the Bryan brothers have taught you to do. You get to hit down while they have to hit up. So that's number one. That's why you want to learn a chip. Now, as far as to start learning the technique, again, remember how we said you don't need the continental grip on serving necessarily, but at the net, you absolutely need a continental grip. So the first thing you want to do is get comfortable with your continental grip. And then what you need to learn how to do is hit great volley technique. And then it's just a volley off the bounce. It is just a volley off the bounce. And then once you understand it's just a volley off the bounce, there's 3 types of volleys that do 3 different things to the ball. Number one is a winning the collision volley. So what is that? That basically is when you have some off speed to work with, so you can add something to it. Lots of times, like your first volley that's floating in the midland, you can add power to that. So you want to win that collision and you want extension. You really want to push your racket through that ball so you can get it to go deep and force its way at your opponent, so they have to kind of like jump back to the passing shot. The second type of volley is a meet the collision volley. So this might be when you're facing somebody who has a very hard serve to return, and you're trying to hit like these normal forehands, and that racket at speed that is moving through the ball too fast, and you can't match it up with the ball. Well, you might just want to meet the collision and get your hand set and just bump the ball back. So you don't need to do much. The pace is coming at you, is doing everything for you. And then the third type is lose the collision, where you kind of give way and the racket appears to almost go backwards after you hit it. And you can use this to intentionally hit short drop shot approach shots. Think Carlos Alcaraz when he hits those beautiful drop shots. He's doing a lose the collision technique. So when you master those, you can absolutely dominate a doubles court.
I think if you were able to develop this against second serves, I think you could probably get to any level of doubles with this. I mean, Jamie Murray doesn't really have a topspin forehand. He basically just chips his forehand. You can certainly get to 5-0 with this against second serves if you develop a good kind
Absolutely.
of block chip return.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can do with that same grip is lob it, hit a lob return,
Yep.
which is
Absolutely.
a really effective return against second and especially first serves.
Hmm.
So I love that. And then for one thing that came to mind with that short one, so this was the um, lose
Lose
the
the collision.
collision.
Hmm.
So the serve's coming and you're taking pace off of it and hitting it short. If the opponent has a weaker second serve, you can step up near the service line.
Yeah.
And then that drop shot doesn't have to be that good because the ball
No.
isn't traveling as far. And it's just going to bounce somewhere in the service box, maybe. And that server is not going to be able to get forward to that ball. I saw it several times today, because I was doing a ladies 3-0 clinic. And those weak second serves, when the return actually lands short, sometimes it was more effective because the server didn't have time
Hmm.
to get forward. And when they did, they were lifting it,
Then they have to lift
like you
it.
were talking about. So I think
Absolutely.
yeah, it's really, really effective. So last one here, overhead progression. You had a really good overhead progression. This is such an important shot because so many players lob in club level tennis, and I feel like our lobs are better than our overheads in general, between the 3-5 and 4-5 level.
Yeah. So before we came on, I was saying, let's talk about solid tips that are abused and misused. And this is one of them, right? I mean, we hear overhead. What do we think about when we think overhead? Put the ball away, overhead smash. So when club players are able to get themselves into, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? But whatever your version of the trophy pose is, you're thinking, all right, I'm going to try and smash this and put this away. Overhead equals end the point. And you got to be really careful about thinking about that. So besides technique, the first thing I teach people is, hey, if you have a lob that's going to land, for people who watch, I don't know how, if you put this on YouTube or whatever too, but it's going to land service line and in. Well, now we can start to work on our overhead. And so you basically want to make a very quick move, get your hand set. I like to call it the secret power source, and really use that offhand and get taller, not smaller. So many club players shrink as they hit the ball. You actually want to think of your sweet spot more towards the top of your string bed, not in the middle, because usually what happens is it goes right down and right into the throat of the racket at club tennis. If you play club tennis, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we got to get taller, not smaller, and you can hit those overheads. Now, once the ball leaves the box, I want you to start forgetting about the overhead. So clue number one, you should not hit the traditional overhead, is that you have to leave the box. Clue number two, absolutely do not hit an overhead. You have to lift one leg. If one leg comes off the ground, don't hit an overhead. I'm telling you, through unlimited experience at this point, you are making this less than 50%. And this is a shot that you could still, I see you there, you can still make this shot 80 to 90, close to 100% some days, if you give up that idea and you do what I call is a waiter tray volley, right? We always hear about the waiter tray being negative, but it's actually perfect for this shot. You flip your hand back, you find where that ball is, and you basically push it to the safe part of the court. Traditionally in doubles, there's a lot of one up, one back. Find that person back and bump it back to them. If, let's say, you're on one leg as you're doing this, if you feel that one leg able to propel you back forward, you can reestablish net position. If you feel that you're kind of like stumbling off your one leg, your momentum's going back so much, you probably should just bump it and retreat back to the baseline. Now even though you've just hit the overhead, it's turned from offense to defense. Now you're on defense. So get behind the line, get ready for them maybe even to come to the net if you don't hit a great shot off that, and think now all of a sudden you're right back into hitting them a lob off of your overhead that you had previously.
So one of the things I love about these conversations is that we'll have the same idea and say it in two different ways. And I learn from the way you say it, and you learn from the way I say it, and we kind of continue to develop the best way to teach this to people. So one of the things I've always taught people with the overhead is if it is behind the service line, like you're talking about, what I tell them is just hit your serve, hit your second serve and aim deep middle at the service mark on the baseline.
Hmm.
Because instead of on your normal second serve, you have to land it in the service box. But on this particular case, you have the entire court to work with. So it's
Yeah.
going to be a very high percentage second serve.
Hmm.
So if you have that, if you don't have a continental grip on your serve and you have the frying pan grip, you can just hit your normal serve and just aim longer.
Hmm.
And it sounds like that's what you're saying. If you're
Yeah.
behind the service line, just push it and
Yes.
aim deeper in the court and go for a big
A
target.
100%.
So, last question here for you. This is a pickleball question. We don't talk about this a lot on the podcast. Why does pickleball not have a technique problem and tennis does?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. I think that's right. So I look, tennis is my baby, and I don't think I could ever instruct pickleball for the reason that tennis is a hard sport. And with the strings on a tennis racket, it creates that where it's unforgiving. It's kind of like a golf club, right? I mean, if you swing hard at a golf club and you're off, you're way off. It's the same thing when you put strings in a racket. It's very temperamental. So that's why you can't swing on volleys. That's why you got to know your racket at angles all the time, or else you're going to be punished in the worst way. And that's why tennis can be very frustrating. So the creators of pickleball are genius because they basically made checkmate on tennis. They're like, okay, everybody swings at a volley. Don't worry about this. We're going to deaden the racket and the ball, so you can swing. The ball's still going to go in. The serve is a nightmare. Don't worry about serving. You can just hit it underhand. Man, I'm getting older. This court's getting big. I don't know if I can cover this anymore. No problem. We got this court for you. It's super small. So you don't have to, you're not punished near as bad for unorthodox technique as you are on a pickleball court as you are on a tennis court. So that's my kind of spiel on pickleball.
So, one of the other things we talked about, and correct me if I'm like wrong on this, in terms of like what you had told me, but one of the other things we had talked about as well is a lot of pickleball doesn't have a technique problem as well because they're it's such a new sport, it's such a young sport. You don't have all these coaches telling you you have to have a
Mm-hmm.
continental grip on your serve or you have to get your ball toss higher. And they're just out there playing and just having fun and figuring it out. And tennis has, I guess, lost a little bit of that maybe because we're so technically focused. And if somebody does want to just stay 3-0 or stay 3-5 and just have fun, there's nothing wrong with that if they want to continue to use the frying pan grip on their serve.
That's 100% right, too. I mean, tennis over the years, because it's been so commercialized, you have clubs and academies and clinics, and instructors will often use things like, that's the wrong grip, that's the wrong this, that's not a forehand,
Mhm.
so then it really can shatter someone's ego and confidence on what they already kind of might do well, because there's some like just local legends who have the weirdest stuff that works so well. There's a lady at my place playing double A to where she literally holds her serve and everything by the throat of the racket and serves and but she's a genius at chipping, and she always wins like 1-1, and you wouldn't teach anything she does, but she's mastered it. So with tennis coaching and players, they're definitely put into that stigma of, oh, I'm doing it the wrong way, and then I won, but I don't even have strokes. Where pickleball is not facing that yet. Now, I did also say, I think in our conversation, that's all going to change because the more pickleball gets popular, first of all, you're noticing that it's just not going to be enough to have fun anymore as time goes on. And if you look at the best players, you can see that they clearly have really nice tennis strokes, a lot of them. They have, especially on like ground strokes and then swinging volleys. They're basically using like beautiful tennis techniques. So the technique is advancing and the sport is starting to become monetized a lot to where now there are coaches. There's people charging over $100 an hour to take a pickleball lesson. And you might laugh at that, but hey, if you want to be the best pickleball player at your club, it is going to require you to all of a sudden get some advanced techniques. So just like everything, it's going to evolve and it's going to get more and more serious. And when you join a pickleball club in the future, it's not going to be just as simple as like, oh, I just want to join and have fun. All of a sudden, you're going to see like all these titans, on the pickleball courts, and you're like, I want to play with them, and you're going to feel bad if you can't get on that court. So that will be changing too.
That's funny. Yeah, I love the local legend analogy. We had a guy who I used to play league with who actually was a 5-0, and he only hit lobs. Like he could not hit out on the ball. And he had 100 and I think he had the big Bubba, like 127 square inch racket, and he was a 5-0 men's player, but his lobs were impeccable. And
Yeah.
he would get to the net and just dink the ball over, and like he just never ever missed. And you were hitting overheads from the baseline the entire time. And if you watched him, you'd think like this guy's not any good at tennis. His strokes are bad, but
Yeah.
he got to 5-0 men's USTA league. So it's that's a really, really good analogy. Pete, any final requests or last comments before we hop off here?
No, I had a great time with you at the camp. Hopefully we're going to make that an annual event because it was really fun. I think we had a good chemistry back and forth. I know people really loved it. And I'm grateful that you're part of TennisCon 9 again this year. So it's nice to have you back, starting to become a little tradition as well. And I just encourage everybody that if you don't have your free ticket yet, at least try it out. You can watch TennisCon for free. You have free 48-hour access to the event once it starts on the 27th. But those days do expire. But if you do get a lifetime pass, then you can play the game. I cannot play the game with people on a free pass because it's a membership software. It hooks up to a membership, and then that can communicate with the video and the pages to get the points and create the leaderboard. So, if you want to play the game, I think you're going to have the most fun you've ever had with an online course.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to see how it goes, and I'll continue to encourage people to sign up because, like I said at the beginning, this is such a great opportunity to learn and improve your tennis game. So thanks again, Peter, for coming on, and I will talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Doubles Only Tennis Podcast. If you're interested in diving deeper into the world of doubles strategy, I've created Tennis Tribe memberships that allow me to bring you more podcast episodes, video lessons, webinars, and other doubles content on a weekly basis without relying on paid ads. The lessons inside the membership will help you better game plan with your partner, optimize your practices, and become the smartest player on the court. Go to thetennistribe.com/memberships to learn more and sign up. You can also join my free newsletter on our homepage where I share a new doubles lesson every week. If you want to connect, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or contact me through our website. Thanks again for listening.